believe you when you told her.
Yeah,
She was
she
like,
had-
no,
she
there's
Googled all my
someone
stuff. She was Googling. And even while we're chatting, now we didn't just meet, we chatted for like a few days.
Wow.
But I never brought it up. And she just...
And then did she Google you? Did she do all that
Yeah,
reading
she did
about
right at
you?
the table.
Wow.
And she looked up the show and the guy playing it and all that.
Wow. Do you get starstruck because, you've been in the business forever, you treat everyone the same, you've hung out with Charlie Sheen, as you're saying, with Hef, like, do you meet certain people and get starstruck,
No.
or are you just, because some people just don't have that in them.
No, I don't. I don't, with nobody. I don't want to, otherwise it takes away who I am. If I get nervous or anything in front of anybody, I can't do that. And I met so many people and everybody's pretty cool. So, I think there's always a nervousness when you have a reading and you're more nervous in front of a casting person than actually the crew. Because once you're in there, it's like, okay, they like me and let's get going.
Have you ever been in the mix for something else, like you said, Dumb or Dumber, either maybe before or after the trial, where it's like you almost got and were like, oh, that's, George Clooney's role in such and such or whatever?
Well, I did read for the lead role at a film called Copycat. I think it was Sigourney Weaver, and it was about William McNamara got the part. It was a serial killer.
Huh.
So I brought in there, and the casting, Billy Hopkins, I think, was casting director, but they screen tested. They did the whole filming of the movie. I don't know if you remember this film, but that was a biggie.
Familiar.
It was a big kind of A-list, but that was a while ago, and that was because the trial they brought me in to see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you love about your podcast, One Degree of Scandalous? Well, what do you love about being a host?
The guy I work with, Tom Zenner, I love going. This guy is so organized and he's so good at what he does. He makes the show better with me, and he gets everybody to talk, and I get them to talk about the stuff. I think everybody loves scandal. Everybody loves scandal, and it's sort of true crime. It's the #1 kind of podcast and TV shows. Everybody's looking for crime. And everybody's looking for spinoffs of crime shows. I mean, there's like 15 CSIs. So I think that we deal with crime, but we also deal with just scandals in Hollywood. It could be, Ariana Grande licking a donut. We do.
You did cover that.
Yeah, we cover that stuff. So it's, God, every time I do a show and I walk out, I just feel better about life. And it's moving and grooving, and people are starting to pay attention to it.
What scandals keep you up at night now? Like, are you up on like the Jen Shaw, Real Housewife of like Salt Lake City? I don't know if you're into the Housewife stuff, like Erica Jane.
I'm not into housewife shows at all. Although scandals? I knew some of the Beverly Hills housewives through the years.
Like, what's the latest scandal in Hollywood that's brewing now? Anything on the horizon?
Oh man, you got me going.
I mean, your friend Charlie Sheen must have kept you busy with scandal. I mean,
well, you know what? They're doing a show actually. The podcast before us is Kevin Connolly, who played E on Entourage, and he's with Kevin Dillon's on the show, and the creators, Doug Ellen, and they do Victory, the podcast. Incredible podcast. Really? They're great on their podcast, but they have a show coming, that the pilot of their new show with Charlie and Martin Sheen and Kevin Dillon and John McGinley from Charlie from Platoon and Scrubs. Wow. They have a show. It's called Selling. I think they might have sold it now, and it's called Ramble On. So that's all. And Doug Ellen, who's terrific, created Entourage, now created this show. But going down to that studio where we film is just exciting in itself.
What about, I'm sure it is. What about, like, look, OJ was not guilty, but then, he got the civil judgment against him for 30, he went to Florida and he got out of that. And then he was put in jail for 33 years and got out in 9 years. Like, do you think, like, there's certain people that do bad things, right? And eventually, in this life, it catches up to you. Or then there's other people that are just, they just have the gift of charisma and somehow they land at, like, where do you think OJ is on that? Do you think all this is eventually, because he's out now? I mean, that wasn't such a long prison sentence, was it?
No, well, 9 years he had in Vegas.
It's not short, but
that was for the robbery, but it's sort of like a payback, I think.
Yeah.
I believe in karma. I think, I believe that if you live a bad life, it's going to come catch up to you. And I think when it's time for like death, it'll go. The story will never find the real killer. I think it goes down. He's never will come out and say anything. My opinion is, I think, guilty, but if it's him, he's never going to go out and say, he's the, he wrote a book called "If I Did It," and that's kind of an admission or something. Something's not right with that book being released called "If I Did It." Who would write a book?
It's a little strange, right?
Isn't it?
I understand it's a money play and I'm all about get your coins, but I don't know the theory behind that.
So, we're never going to find it, and they will not be on a golf course.
You don't think like I'm there, I'm on my deathbed, it's clear it's coming, just admit it.
No, never. Why is he going to admit it? Because, I'm sure he's got his own God or whatever. He's going to ask for forgiveness or if he believes in that sort of thing. So,
right. Well, that could be seen as like, this is for all these things you've done. Maybe like now we're getting into the afterlife and that's a whole But I'm just saying maybe that is the like, here I am if I just admit this and give some, even if it's the grandchildren of whoever in the, Goldman.
Yeah. No,
Brown
never
family.
No, never happen. Never happen. I don't think it'll go down. There's so many, the kids, I don't know relationship with Sydney and Justin or his other older son from the first marriage, Arnell and Jason. So there's just so much to the story that it'll never die. And even when he passes away, it'll live on.
Wow. Final two questions, I promise you. So, is that like, you have this, there is that thing where I think more people, at least in America, but around the world, know your name for whatever reason than presidents, it's like there's famous, there's infamous, like do you have any thoughts about that? Is that just this is your life? Or is that like, wow.
I love it.
Okay.
If they know my name, that's a good opening to anything is they know your name.
Yeah. And
I think they'd love it even more that when I meet them afterwards, I'll always know their name.
Yeah, that's really nice of you.
Yeah.
And final question, like what is the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard about yourself? That's just so off base from being even remotely true.
Oh, man. That was why this question? I wish I had more time to prepare.
I'm sure there's a lot.
That has the most thing about me that was said.
Yeah, where you're just like, man, this is so off base. This is so preposterous.
Oh, I have a vagina. No.
Well,
that would be... No, it's never said. The most preposterous thing ever said about me.
Or just that someone gets so wrong.
You know what? I go back to the times of I wish I knew the people that put stuff in my hair or spit on me, what they thought. I never found out what they thought. But I think that goes back to answer the question of, God, whatever it was, I wish they, and I think, I'll tell you a story is that someone that was really mean to me, I didn't even know this person, who did something at a comedy club or something, and I don't remember it, but it's a guy who wanted to fight and like came into my face and, called me an MF and everything else. That person probably 6 or 7 years later said, you don't remember me, but I was this guy that, I said, I didn't remember him, but I remember that moment. I said, I remember. He goes, dude, I apologize. I've heard great things about you and whatever I did, I'm so sorry, but I was an asshole. And that has happened more than once with someone with time. I think, the cream rises and I think more of that comes out and people know, all right, he's a good guy because first year after trial is ugly, but everything is sort of like a stock trade, that keeps going up and up and up, and it's gone up and up. And I see it on my social media. And one of it was Celebrity Big Brother finding out people. He's like, oh, he's a good guy.
That was a good move for you.
I came from I came from a large family, and anything we had is definitely values. So that's an important thing. And I think values kind of in this town, Hollywood. Sometimes there's no values, but if you have them, there's people that notice, and time will come where people will go, all right, we're going to help out this dude now. So I'm asking, please help me out now. My time is now.
Kato is pitching. Kato is celebrity.
Oh,
listen,
he's pitching.
These all sound like great ideas, and you're hardworking, and that's the whole battle, right? You just got to get up and work.
Yeah, it's true. And yourself, you successful podcast. I heard good things about you.
Okay,
so
that's good.
And
I'm a worker too.
Yeah,
I just feel like you do the work.
You're New York. You're LA. No car. You got to work.
Kato's like, where do I park? I'm like, ask me any other question but that. I'm like, I know there's a parking space. I just don't know where it is.
David said to me, what's that D in your car mean? Oh, David, that means drive. He goes, I don't own a car. That means drive. What's the R? It's a reverse.
I just, out here, when I tell people I don't drive, they look at me like I'm literally insane. I'm like, you can live here without driving. No one does it. Anything? Yes.
I was going to say, I loved in your show. See,
You'll have to come back. Yeah, this is real. This is real.
It's the cathartic. It's the great feeling. Wake up.
The next time you come back, we don't have to talk about OJ. We could talk about everything else you have going on.
Yeah, and I would tell on your show, I don't know, put a little, at YouTube, 1 Degree Scandalous, because it's subscriptions and it's about people. I think if they want to get to know someone, they'll see our show, how real Tom Zenner and I do our show.
It's a great podcast. You cover all the scandals. And, it does tie in as well that you were in the middle of this major scandal. I mean, who else is better